Welcome to New Possibilities. I speak truth to power without fear. So, for my last video entitled Still In, I'm not going to say the word because I don't want to deal with censorship, but you get the idea, and I'll post a link in the cards. Someone left a comment to that video, and basically they were talking about how there's national outcry when a white person kills a black person, but nobody cares when there's a situation of black on black violence. And this person also talked about how people are quick to jump to conclusions when it involves a white person killing a black person. And they also acknowledged that they're not saying that what the guy did was right and, what he did. They said that what he did was wrong and all that kind of stuff. And we're talking about the Ralph Yarrow shooting where this young black brother went to the wrong house by mistake, and the white homeowner proceeded to shoot this brother in the arm and in the head. So I want to just share my quick thoughts about that. First of all, this whole what about black on black violence chant that we hear from some in our community, that is nothing but a coon song. And you all remember that song that came out a few years ago, and I think it was Tariq Nasheed that put it out, where he has all these sellouts in our community, and he has that song, and in that song they talk about what about black on black violence. And the point of the matter is, that whole conversation, what about black on black violence, is nothing but a deflection from the issue of white terrorism. It's often used as a deflection away from the issue of police brutality. When these pigs kill our people without any kind of justification, shoot and kill unarmed black men and women, brutalize unarmed black men and women, you always have some bootlicking, tap dancing, handkerchief head, in the words of Brother Malcolm, Negro that comes out here talking about what about black on black violence, deflecting away from the real conversation about racism, about white terrorism, and about the violence perpetrated against black people. So that's the first thing, is a deflection. The other thing is this: it's irrelevant. It has nothing to do with the issue at hand. The other thing is this: despite what these people claim, they're dead wrong. The fact of the matter is, these incidents of so-called black on black violence are regularly reported in local news. And when you have some really horrific cases, those are reported in the national news. And in fact, the local news would rather present those types of situations than to present positive news about the black community. They're always quick to tell us about the shooting here and the shooting there. And I'm not saying that those things aren't newsworthy. They're definitely newsworthy. Anytime we lose young lives or lives, period, that should be newsworthy. But the problem is, the media is fixated on negativity. The media is fixated on making black people out to be criminals, making black people out to be violent. You rarely hear positive stories, for instance, in the mainstream media, but they're quick to tell you about the crimes taking place in your community. They're quick to show you the black criminals. They're quick to show you black men on wanted posters and black men in shackles. They love to give you that kind of image. But meanwhile, when you have something positive in the community, those stories are pushed to the back burner. Those stories are pushed to the back page. Those stories are like the last 3 or 2 seconds of a news broadcast, if they're even recorded at all. You go to these newspapers with positive stories, but they gloss over those and they leap at stories about negativity. So don't tell me that, that these types of stories are not getting attention from the press. The stories of violence, that is constantly getting attention from the press. The other thing is this: we got to kill this lie. Get rid of this lie that black people don't care about so-called black on black violence. when you have all these stop the violence groups that are regularly in our communities, doing what they can to try to end the violence in our communities. And if it wasn't for those groups like the group here in Baltimore, the Baltimore Peace Movement, or We Are Us, or the Peace Team, if it wasn't for groups like that, the violence in our community would be far worse. There would be more escalation of violence in our community. So let's not pretend like there aren't groups working every day to try to stop the violence in our community. Let's not pretend like there aren't marches in our community regularly against the so-called black on black violence. Let's not pretend like you don't have vigils all the time in black communities, celebrating black life and condemning the violence that plagues our communities. Often these people that have so much to say, these people that always say, what about the black on black violence, quote unquote? My question to you is, what the hell are you doing to stop the violence in the community? What Stop the Violence organization are you a part of? Because if you were a part of such a group, you wouldn't even be making these ridiculous statements about how people don't care about so-called black on black violence. If you were engaged and involved in the community, you would see that every day there are groups that are concerned and speaking out regularly. All these community associations regularly speaking out about crime in our community. So let's cut the BS, miss us with the nonsense, and stop pretending like people don't care about black on black violence. Stop using that to give this white man a break, to give this white man a pass, to try to deflect from the reality of police brutality, of white terrorism, which is what you had in this situation, where you had this white homeowner shoot this brother who was doing absolutely nothing threatening to this white man. He simply knocked on the door or rang the doorbell, and this man, within seconds of that brother arriving, a young black boy, 16 years old, within seconds of that brother arriving at that door, this owner proceeds to shoot this brother through a storm door. And it's only for the grace of God that young brother is still alive. So yeah, man, stop with the what about black on black violence. That's nothing but a coon song.